still is.
No, that one's always been there.
Yeah.
Right. It says, well, I wish we could hear what's being said.
Well, you have to,
Enunciate.
yeah. Bob was real bad. He talked down, he had a very soft voice, and people just simply couldn't understand.
So if you was in a Washington meeting, they had a button.
You ready, man?
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you for being here, and those that are watching. Mayor's report, very short. I just want to remind everybody that November 7th will be the big trash pickup day. I don't have all the specifics of what you can and can't. You can go online and see the city page and know what you can throw away and what you can't. Also, the street department will start picking up leaves starting Tuesday, October 20th, Thursday, October 22nd, and then every Tuesday and Thursday all the way up through November 19th, and also December 1st and December 3rd. Needs to be in plastic bags and placed in front of the residents by the curb no later than 7 a.m. No boxes or tubs, just make sure they're in the bags. I was going to talk about 18th Street, but I will let the city administrator update you on that, and we'll move on to city administrator report.
Okay, the contractor continues work on West 18th. Most of the stormwater piping and curb inlets are set. They had to chisel some rock on a portion of the installation, but they got through it. The next step is to tear out the existing pavement, get it to grade, install curb and gutter, and then they will pave after that. And while construction is going on West 18th, the water department is going to replace all of the infrastructure at the intersection of West 18th and Jefferson. Most of it has been replaced, but there is an older valve and some fittings that need to come out before the intersection is paved with concrete. And then early next week, we hope that the new refurbished baler will be delivered to the recycle center. This will help Ed with the extra cardboard and plastic that he is dealing with. That's my report.
Do they have a time frame on 18th Street?
No, sir.
Approximate?
No, sir, nothing
None?
yet.
Okay. Public comments, I have none, we have none. We'll move on to ordinance. Dave, would you move forward?
First is on for second reading. It's bill number 2020-27, an ordinance to authorize the execution of a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Traffic Engineering Assistance Program Agreement.
Any discussion?
I move 2020-27, second read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2020-29 for first reading, an ordinance to approve a municipal services and material contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Utility Asset Management Inc. for full inspection.
Any questions on this one?
We approved the bid last time, right? So this is just the ordinance to go ahead and get the poles checked out, right?
That's correct.
Okay, I make a motion to approve bill number 2020-29.
Motion's been made, second please.
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes, carried.
Next is bill number 2020-30, an ordinance to approve a contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Neat Plus Nimble for email marketing management, tracking, and analysis.
Any discussion on this?
I just have one question. Now, is that for tourism?
Yes. Tammy's here, she can answer questions if you need.
And I think she needs it read twice tonight.
That would be lovely.
Do I know?
That would be lovely if you read it twice.
You have any other questions?
This is cheaper than what the bid was even, so that's good too, right? To save us some money. Yeah.
The tourism board and Tammy do a very good job managing that tourism. I move bill 2020-30 first read.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carry. We need to read that the second time.
Bill number 2020-30 for second reading, an ordinance to approve a contract by and between the City of Herman, Missouri and Neat Plus Nibble for email marketing management, tracking, and analysis.
Second read, do I have a motion?
I'll make motion ordinance 2020-30 has been second read.
A second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carry.
Next is bill number 2020-31, an ordinance to approve a contract by and between the City of Herman, Missouri and Seymour Cleaning for cleaning services.
We have discussion on this?
I think this is kind of a high bid, and I would prefer us to bid out, see if we can get a janitor instead of a company coming in.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, I did my math, and as for 2 days per week, a business month is 4 weeks, so that's $287 per day. It's close to $36 an hour. And looks to me like all they do is gonna dust mop the floors and empty the trash can.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
stripping or carpet cleaning or,
I have to agree with you. I was in that business for many, many years, and I thought it was pretty extreme, but,
I realize it's not our employees and saves us benefits, but I think when we figured if it was our employee and figure in the workers' comp and insurance, we could probably have our own employee do it at a more fair price.
well, it's 16 hours. Is it 16 hours or 8?
You know, I figured an 8-hour shift twice a week.
Yeah, for 4 days, 4 hours a day, or whatever, is needed.
Did that price include the floors?
No,
no stripping and
No
waxing.
Well, no stripping and waxing, but they would still clean on a regular basis. They'd do the vacuuming and they would clean the floors. They just wouldn't do the stripping and re-waxing for that price. That's what I didn't understand.
Vacuuming floors and empty trash cans is not highly skilled labor.
Yes,
This is pretty
yeah.
expensive.
Or washing the windows on the outside at all costs extra
Yeah, extra.
money.
and this says waxable hard surface floors can be stripped and refinished or scrubbed and re-waxed. So,
But that's for
That was
an extra charge.
extra charges, yes, and carpet cleaning is extra charges.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to look into hiring a part-time janitor. This is,
Okay. Mark, did you
I
have
just,
some?
I just want to say, we're going to have a hard time finding somebody. We went through, I think, 10 companies and individuals trying to get somebody to do this. We had no luck.
did we advertise locally?
We did. We contacted everybody we knew.
I sent out letters, I called,
Have we,
on our Facebook page, in the paper.
have we checked into some of the guest houses where they have services that come in and clean? Would they have people that be wanting to take this upon it?
Well, I think too, these places all had to have, that were contacted or did respond with a bid, they had to have liability insurance, and if they have 4 or more employees, they had to have workman comp. These are smaller places, maybe they don't have those things, and that's why they didn't, so maybe if we just did for just a janitor, we could get somebody.
Possibly, I had said that as well, but the thing is if we did approve this, we can cancel the contract at any time with 30 days notice. If we just wanted to get somebody in here, get it in a good and clean, it hasn't had a good thorough cleaning in a very, very long time. So that would be another option, is that we could have them come in and cancel at any time with 30 days notice.
Is that price negotiable? If we went back and said that was too high, would they say, well, let us reconfigure?
I tagged Mark on this, and so you can answer.
I have no idea. We could definitely go back to them and see if they can do better. Look at all the options.
$35 an hour is too much.
I know we have to provide everything other than the equipment that they would use.
No, they
No.
supply
They're
supplies.
doing all that.
Well, I'm just saying that the toilet paper, the paper towels, that says that the customer provides all that. The trash can bags. No, they do
The
provide
customer
the
will
vacuum.
furnish all consumable products inclusive of but not limited to toilet paper, towels, trash liners, hand soap. They'll
customer.
supply cleaning agents.
Elbow grease.
They provide the cleaning agent.
And cleaning equipment like mops and brooms.
I agree with Susan, I think basically $36 an hour is a little high on the excessive side.
Is anyone cleaning it now?
We have someone that empties the trash a little bit, does a few things, Ed does some stuff for us, but.
Yeah, he sweeps and empties trash, takes care of the restrooms.
But that's about the limit of what he does, because he's so busy at the other recycling part, but,
Have we talked to anybody that uses this service even to see what the quality of the work is and?
I have not, Carol, did you talk? No references. We were just happy to get a response, and that was the only response we got. We did spread the costs over all the departments, so it wasn't going to be a big hit on one department. But if you gentlemen and ladies think it's too expensive, we can try something different. But as Trish said, it would be nice to get them in here and do maybe a month's worth of good cleaning, and then we can always cancel the contract if it seems to be too much. This place is,
Do we have to do a contract, or can we just say we'd like you for a 1 month or 2 months and see what happens?
I think that's the 30 days out that they gave us, I believe.
yeah, it says that you have to give them a 30-day notice. Most cleaning companies require a contractor, not, because I called this same company to ask for a one-time deal with something, and basically they're not interested in a one-time deal.
Well, I don't want this building to get so dirty, it's gonna be a real issue, if this contract is canceled any time. But I want us actively looking for a part-time employee to do this.
I think we should do some more research before even looking at a 30-day agreement, if they would do that. I agree we should get the basic maintenance done, but
Or you want to postpone it 1 month and bring it.
Can we talk about it in 2 weeks?
That's fine with me.
if we can come back in 2 weeks and have some research where we have looked at and comparison and follow-up on any referrals from this company.
Come up with a base pay, put it in your ad, so people know what the pay would be, and
If you wanted us to advertise for a janitor, we won't be able to talk about it in 2 weeks, because time to get an ad made up, get it to the paper, you wait, give them a window for responses, you need a month.
okay, I'm fine with the month.
Yeah, do the first meeting in November.
And the first meeting in November, what do you want to do again? Do you want to, by then, try and find a janitor and not do this? Is that what you're telling me?
Do you want to revisit this, get some information on this company, as far as references, and maybe if that's their hard and fast price? And in the meantime, advertise for a janitorial position, I think is what I'm hearing.
Correct.
What he said.
Agreed.
Okay, that's not,
But we want Ward 2 Alderman to come over.
There you go.
Guys, I can run a vacuum cleaner, I'll be more than happy to come
I
on.
can
and
run
We
run
this
could come on
few
Saturday
hours,
morning
cover
and
this
clean,
place
I would
out.
do it, yeah, let's come on a Saturday morning and clean.
Get the scrubber, I'll scrub the floors and wax them. I've done that through college. And at the hospital.
We'll help,
I was teasing, but that works.
it works, I do it.
so we need that in a motion then to postpone this, or just,
No, you can just, I think it's done.
okay,
No.
okay, just want to make sure I was doing it correct.
I think if there's no motion, it kills the ordinance, doesn't hurt.
Yeah, we'll, maybe put it on the next agenda and just say postponed until November or whatever.
Okay. Very good. We will move on to resolution.
Resolutions, the first is a resolution authorizing the issuance of festival space permits for October.
So it's just for one person?
Yeah, and you're gonna see their festival event application later under motions. It's basically a food truck, that has permission to set up on private property at the Herman Lumberyard.
Is it like Friday and Saturday or Saturday and Sunday or we don't know, just it's gonna be there?
We do is after their application.
Well, it's got 3 dates, 15th through the 18th.
I think it's Friday, Saturday.
15th through the 18th and 22nd through the 25th.
Week for the weekend.
And that's the Herman Lumber's parking lot on their side, I guess that
Yeah.
south side. As long as the health department's fine with it, I think it's okay.
The health department is their responsibility to go around and inspect all the proper
Right.
stands and that sort of thing. Food vendors.
Which, I know Greg said we turn the list into them of new vendors.
They used to want us to, do they still?
I don't think they
I
require
don't
it
even think they
anymore.
want us to do that anymore. They send somebody out.
Okay.
It's just it's a standard vendor like we always do. I move to approve the resolution.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. We will move.
Yep.
Oh, we have another resolution, sorry.
A resolution to ratify the execution of a tree resource improvements and maintenance program notice of award and grant agreement.
Discussion on this?
We do this every.
Well, this was kind of a surprise, but yeah, we try to get you in frame whenever possible.
Yeah, I think from the tree commission too, they said it's gonna be primarily used up in the upper park level to trim trees. Is that right, Mark?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
I move to approve.
Well,
Made, seconded?
did he say it?
I'll second.
Okay, there you go.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, move on to old business. We have a discussion on the outdoor burning ordinance that you all are proposing.
It's under unfinished business.
Okay. It's in your unfinished business.
There you go. Thank you, guys.
Got some discussion on this?
Well, Section B, paragraph 6, I'm told. I don't like setting limitations that Mother Nature might not abide by.
Say that again, please.
Section B, paragraph 6. I don't like us setting limitations that Mother Nature might not abide by. We've had times when leaves are still falling in December. I don't see how you can limit that. Also, as far as burning leaves in the street or gutter, that's where we want to burn the leaves. It does no damage to the street or the gutters. Any residue that's left, first rain washes away, it's very fine silt, it doesn't hurt anything.
But the smoke can hurt people's lungs that have trouble with asthma or COPD.
Well,
If it's a big pile and you're driving through smoke, it could be dangerous driving.
leaves go pretty quick. It isn't an all-day fire. I've never had a complaint about the smokes unless somebody had was smoldering out there and then I went over and talked to them and they took care of it. Threw a little gas on, a little accelerant, whatever, or put it down.
I had
Little
a,
air
last
blower
year on
with
it.
some oxygen.
Do what?
Little air with some,
Yeah, little air
blower with
leaf
some
blower.
oxygen and she'll burn really fast.
I'm sorry, people have been burning leaves in the gutters and the streets of this town forever, and I'm not gonna tell them they can't do it.
Well, you all know how I feel. I don't think it's a necessary thing. I think that the reason we're doing it, I'm not gonna go into that, but I think
The
we're
reason
I
that-
think we're penalizing everybody in this town because there's a couple people that are not doing it properly, let me put it in that terminology. And I don't think it's a proper thing to do. I mean, I'm reading this, you want them out by midnight. You know, some people, they want to sit out by the fire till 1 or 2 in the morning and have a beer. I mean, I don't see how we can be You gotta put that out. I just disagree with the whole way we're going here. You know, you are the ones that have to make the decision, not me, but I just want everybody to know out in Harmon that I am adamantly against 95% of this.
Well, since other towns do it, and that's where we got,
Well, we're not other towns, are we?
I know, we're not, but we're like a lot of other towns.
I tend to agree with Bruce on this. We have a small part of our population that's causing a problem. We need to do this in such a way that we deal with the problem that we have, not the problems we might have. I'm all for harvesting. My mother's got it. She's got bronchitis. She can't inhale this. One of the problems that was brought to my attention was where she now lives. I went over and talked to the people, and the problem was solved. It doesn't always work that way. I'm a realist, I understand that. But there's a lot of stuff in here that doesn't really have anything to do with science.
Could we take out everything on number 6, but put in there that we do usually offer free leaf pickup, so that people know we can pick them up, and they don't have to worry about burning them? We have a really
that's-
good program to pick up leaves.
That is fine. I mean, we need to advertise more and do that, but there's also another issue. We have a compost site outside of town here, a very nice one. There's no sign marking that mark up there where you turn in. We need a big sign there. That driveway is in a bad position anyway, the way it sits, because you can pop up the hill, and you're on the driveway before you even realize it's there. We need a big sign saying Herman Compost Site right here. One that's easily seen. I don't care about coming into town, but when you're going out of town. So people know where that's at, and advertise it that anytime any brush or leaves that you have can be taken up there. I think people burn a lot of stuff because they just honestly don't realize we have it or know what to do with it. But there again, I just know a lot of people still, in the spring, they burn their garden off, they burn their yard waste, and they do it in the fall. And I don't know if you call it a tradition, a habit, or whatever, but
What's
I can't tell them not to.
It's not only your residents, you know, we have a campground down here, and everybody, on a Friday or Saturday night, you go through there,
They've all got
70% of them got a fire out there, and
Yeah.
they don't all go to bed at midnight neither.
No, they don't.
So, I mean, you know, the police officers that we have do a lot of stuff. You know, they don't have time to go around and say, excuse me, you gotta put your fire out to everybody that's got one going on. I just think it's a burden on them, and anyway.
That's one thing, I did come through the campground, I think it must have been Sunday evening. No, the campers were all cleared out behind the ballpark, but the fire was still going in the fire ring. Nobody around. But offer a compromise here on that number 6. I mean, I agree with what's said here. It's kind of been a tradition, I understand people with COPD and breathing problems, smoke goes along with, but to me, I kind of like the smell of burning leaves.
I did want to say that, but I do too. It's fall.
But,
We have a fire pit to
but-
burn.
but currently, that would be illegal. If we could allow burning of the leaves with a permit notifying the city that I do and plan to burn leaves, that helps the police department when they get a phone call that 1109 Washington Street's burning leaves. Well, then they have notification, yes, they applied for a burn permit.
Well, most people, you're talking leaves, but most people use the fire pits, they're burning firewood. What's the difference of having a fire pit and Susie that lives down the street's got a big fireplace in her house and all the smoke's coming out of the fire, out of her chimney? It's the same type of smoke. I mean, I don't understand why all of a sudden this is a big issue. I mean, I've lived here since '81 and it's, you know, I know why it's an issue, but I don't agree with it.
Well, we certainly don't want to penalize everyone and affect everyone because of what one person or two people might be doing. So what is the remedy if they're abusing it? Because it only takes one person to abuse to get someone's house on fire. And I've gone over and looked at the different places where the ashes, it was just flaming up. It was almost, when I went over there, it was not bonfire size, but it could have very easily been. So what can we do?
With that particular incident, he wasn't using a fire pit.
Well, he piled, some of it was piled into a fire. When I went over there, it was piled into a fire pit, and
But it was much larger.
It was much larger. So how do we go in and fix that issue
That's a good
by,
question.
by limiting how large it can be?
But it gets back to what David asked, is what do we do as far as burning leaves in the gutter?
I do it almost every year.
Yeah, well, that, to me,
I know
that's
it's
not.
been against the law for years.
Could it say you have to be with it, you can't leave it? Would that solve it?
Well, that's common sense. I don't know when anybody
I
would
know.
start a fire and walk off to begin with. I know they do it, and,
Well, apparently
They should get a
didn't.
ticket for that.
Yeah.
but I mean, if you're gonna set something on fire, you stay there till the fire goes out. Now, that is common sense.
Common sense.
It's hard to regulate common sense or legislate common sense, but that is, I mean, that one, as far as I'm concerned, that's a slam dunk. Or
Take
a
that one
nuisance
out.
law. Could that come into effect here?
It says obnoxious odor. And it,
Probably not. It's, I think it's such a case-by-case thing, and I'm not sure what Rick's describing with the one situation that you guys know about, but, I don't know, I would actually, as far as what remedy does the city have, either to issue a ticket or, otherwise stop this, that we've adopted the International Fire Code, for example. I haven't studied the International Fire Code.
Right.
And I could, to see what other options we might have, but, if, I don't know, Chief, if you drive by and you see somebody's fire pit or fire out in the yard out of control, you'd probably just go up and tell them to get it under control, I would think.
Yep, usually, make sure, again, common sense, if you're gonna burn something that large, be observing it and, water hose or whatever you need to do to make sure that get out of control.
it does stipulate in it, it must have a fire extinguisher, water, sand, or dirt readily available at the burn site to be put out.
In all honesty, if you drive around any of these fire pits, whether it's a resident or the camper, have you ever seen that? No.
I do know that one instance there was at 6th and Washington, and the police responded, nobody was there. They ended up calling the fire department out to put the fire out. So that's what we're trying to eliminate here somehow, that I know common sense, but common sense doesn't prevail in this world today as we know it. That we need some type of, if somebody's burning leaves, I think the PD should know about it, so if they get the call, they can go by, talk to them, make sure it's being manned, properly taken care of.
Well, I'm not sure that requires anybody to come out here and get a permit. A simple call to the police department dispatchers to say, hey, I'm gonna be burning leaves here in about an hour, just so you know, in case somebody says there's fire,
That way somebody knows.
Most people do that. They'll call-
Well, anybody that's asked me about burning something, that's the first thing I tell them to do. Call out here and let people know, so they know what's going on.
So is there a way to distinguish between fire pit, pleasant, fun, family gatherings, and a bonfire?
And that's the problem.
Yeah, how can we write this up so that it would prohibit a bonfire excess where if the police are driving around and they see a blaze? I was out walking not too long ago, and my son-in-law and I were out, and there was such a blaze that we went and walked up the alley to make sure there was nothing on fire at that point.
Well, I think this covers it like 3, what a fire pit is, and it can be dug underground. I mean, all the definitions of permanent, portable, fire pits, rubbish.
15-mile-per-hour winds.
And I think that's
Well, there's
important.
number 9 says when there's any fire creating or adding to a hazardous situation or fails to be managed or maintained in accordance with these regulations, the police department's authorized to order the extinguishing of the fire.
There you go.
And that's what they did on 6th Street.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And some of it is common sense, like don't put a fire pit on a wood deck because it could burn through it.
Barbecue pit will too.
Do we ever say no to burning if they call in, if it's dry and windy? Would we tell them not?
Absolutely.
There's a state fire marshal puts out a no burn, like I said, if something comes down from the state that you can't burn because of conditions, then yeah, you can't burn, period.
It's called red flag. It's a red flag day. There's no burning.
And that's usually on TV, on the radios, almost any media outlet has it when we have those days.
I think the county even puts it out on their Facebook webpage.
And one more thing I would probably do, this was a draft borrowed from another city a long time ago, but it, as Susan said, it defines fire pits and outdoor fireplaces. And you would expect to see something in here that says no fires anywhere or in anything other than a fire pit or outdoor fireplace as defined herein, but it doesn't say that anywhere.
But if we put that in there, can they burn leaves in the gutter? And-
Oh, well, yeah, the leaf in the gutter thing, you'll have to decide.
I mean, that's never been an ordinance, that's just been something we've let people do.
Common or leaf burning,
Mhm.
People still have burn barrels in the backyard?
They're not supposed to.
Okay.
We all had them when we were kids. I mean, that was one of our chores, take trash out and burn it, but that's been probably since the 70s that was outlawed.
Well, that part I agree with 100%. Don't burn your trash.
But as we stand today, the only ordinance the city has is there shall be no fires started to burn anything without a permit. That's it, that's all we got.
But that's an ordinance?
Yeah, burn leaves has been.
Or burning leaves, but when you said no fire,
Nope, you can't start a fire to burn leaves.
to burn leaves, okay.
Burn leaves, burn wood, have an outside fire pit, none of that is legal as we speak now. All fires have to have a permit issued, unless lightning would strike or electrical fire, but can't be self-generated.
Fires, okay, I want to make sure I understand this. Fires that are in a fire pit, you have to have a permit, you have to go to the city to get a permit.
By our current city code, yes.
By our code,
Every time?
by our code.
Every-
Nobody does that. The only people who come in and get burn permits are people, the only thing that we allow people to burn is yard debris. As far as when they come in to get a burn permit, that's what we're issuing it for, according to these standards that the state, gives out. It's yard debris is what we're issuing permits for.
And that is normally for people that have bigger yards, like Mr. Kalmeyer up on the hill, when he's doing, he gets one quite often because he got more property and they do burn a pile.
But our neighbors that have a standard sized fire pit, roasting marshmallows, cooking wieners, enjoying that fire, they don't have to have a permit.
Well, by our current city code, yeah, you're probably supposed to.
Unless we could fall
And there's
back to
100
the.
people out there right now.
I break the
Well, Rick, when
law.
fire pits weren't that common.
No.
Right,
I
right.
mean,
so does anybody know the site to that code?
I did have it wrote down.
I might have it.
Because that might be a place to start, is to
But you look at just, if you
Yeah,
just
it's
Google
like, what are the
burning, there's
sentences?
only one ordinance that mentions burning in there. Yeah, it must have a permit. Now, the only other thing is, I was gonna ask, and I know Dave just said he's not fluent with the International Fire Code, but I'm sure that's covered in there, because the city adopted the International Fire Code. And the data that's in here, the definitions and stuff that I've worked with Susan on this, came from the International Fire Code. The 15 foot away from buildings and boom, 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 that's all in the International Fire Code.
well, to be fair, I think 15 feet is too short. I was
Susan and
25
I
would
talked
be.
about it. I said, now, per the fire code, it says 15, so let's try to stick with what the International Fire Code is.
That's why most people burn in the gutter. Gets away from any other combustible material.
And of course, in the way that always triggers me is to, if we burn that in the guttering, is that much different than blowing grass into the gutter?
Is it
Well, you're getting rid of it.
20, is it 220?
The leaves generally end up there.
Well, you're gonna have twigs and stuff in there that's not either gonna burn or not burn, and then that's gonna get forced into the drain system.
I've never seen that.
220.030 is burning.
I'm sorry, what?
220.030.
I think that's the only ordinance I could get to
It's
come up.
unlawful to burn any refuse, garbage, rubbish, or rubble in open pits or in any open fireplaces or any enclosed area except when permit is given by the Board of Aldermen.
So basically it's rubble and,
Garbage, refuse, that's what the burning is.
But I don't think that's what we're talking about. Excuse me, I think that's garbage burning, like what you guys were talking about 5 minutes ago.
Yep.
Refuse is solid waste. Garbage is putrescible wastes. Rubbish and rubble. Rubble is cardboard boxes, heavy yard trimmings, etc. My advice would be that this doesn't apply to burning logs or sticks in a fire pit.
So there's really no ordinance that addresses the fire pits and things like that.
Unless it's in the International Fire Code, we can check that out between now and next meeting, I guess. if you like.
Okay. Well, if we're going to do this, it's going to be a work in progress for a while, guys. As this sits, it can't go, at
So
least not
6
for-
and
not
9,
in my opinion.
right?
Do what?
6 and 9 are what we're talking about?
At the moment?
And nine's good.
Yeah, yeah, no, that side I wasn't having a problem with. I don't really care for the 15 feet. I think that's too close. No, 6 is my big hang-up. That's penalizing people that have been doing stuff for years and haven't done anything wrong.
So is he gonna research the 15 feet, or?
I would make it 25, but that's up to you guys. I mean, I won't vote against it at 15. I just think it's too short.
See what the code says.
I'm just gonna look in the International Fire Code to see if there's anything in there that could apply to what we all know as fire pits, basically. And I'll report back.
Okay, I can live with that.
So we will,
I do have a copy here what I ran off of the International Fire Code, Section 308. I have 2 copies, if you want one. Sure. You can see what it is. It's not the whole fire code, they just say, but it talks about open flames and torches for removing paint. Minimum required distance from structure shall be 25 feet, not less than 15.
Okay, the other thing we need to think of if we do this is, what if somebody already has a permanent fireplace and it's 15 feet from their house? Can we grandfather them in? Okay.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
There might be a few that are 15 feet, and I don't want somebody to have to tear something down that they used forever.
Okay. So we're going to,
Dave's gonna research and report back next week.
very good. Okay, is there any other old business?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The first one comes under the heading kind of a public service announcement. It's probably not news to anybody. We've had some vandalism and some stealing going on around town for a few months. It is, I think, basically accepted as juveniles doing it, and the police have stopped some kids who were out late at night, and I got a couple phone calls that they didn't know we had a curfew. Well, honestly, at first, it kind of got me too, and then I got thinking about it, and Sergeant Strautman ran this off for me. It's a parental responsibility ordinance is what we currently have. If a child's under the age of 15, they're not to be out after 10 o'clock at night. Now, there are exceptions to that. You know, they can be with their parents, you know, parents are taking responsibility. They can be traveling a direct route from work, a church activity, whatever, a ball game. That's not a big deal, but your kids under the age of 15, I mean, folks, come on, it's not the world we grew up in. They can't be out after 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock at night unsupervised. That is a city ordinance. 15 and 16-year-olds, midnight on Friday and Saturdays, and 11 o'clock all other nights. If your children are out after that time unsupervised, it's pretty good chance that the police aren't going to stop them and ask them what they're doing. If they don't have a good answer, you're probably going to get a phone call to come get your kids. So please, it's like it's 10 o'clock, do you know where your children are? Know where they're at, please.
Could we
Okay.
maybe put that in as a mailer with a bill?
I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it's a good idea. I got this actually from Officer Strotman. But yeah, we can probably put that in something that can go out to everybody. Perhaps Herman paper could put that in the paper. Okay. Number two, actually, since you brought that up about a food truck going on parking lot down there by the lumber yard, our farmer's market's turned into a flea market again. We had to address this a couple years ago. That farmer market is for produce grown on your own property. It's not for stuff you buy someplace else, and it isn't to sell T-shirts and wreaths and everything else. There was actually 2 of them set up there this last weekend. I noticed it late. I didn't do anything about it. But I know the owner of the property allows that to be used as a farmer's market, not a flea market. So Chief, if you see them down there again, if they don't have a business license, would you inform them, please, to get one? Or go somewhere else?
Do we have an ordinance that says they can't, or is it?
They don't have a business license to sell that stuff. The Department of Agriculture and our state and federal government allow farmers markets. If you violate that, you're gonna have an inspector from the government down there, and people are gonna end up paying a whole lot of back sales tax if you don't have receipts for it. I mean, I actually went through this with the last bunch that was down there doing this, so. We have stores in this town that sell T-shirts. We have stores in this town that sell just about everything that they're selling on that lot. These people pay rent, they pay utilities, they pay for a business license. If those people want to compete with them, they can come out here and get a business license and get permission from the property owner to sell there. So,
Who owns
I
that
don't want to be
property?
hard-ass about it, but we've got businesses we need to support also. So-
Who owns that property?
Well, up in, Danny Baumstark has, I think, a 100-year lease on it. Up until that first row of street lights, the lights on the parking lot, actually is city property, but he has the lease for it. And the last time this happened, he came to me and said, I don't want this here. I'm not gonna wait for him to do that again. So he allows that farmer's market to be there, and because it's nice, I mean, it's good for the town, but the flea market stuff has to go, so. Then third item, the VFW. We had worked on, or we're working on a plan to try and help the VFW put campgrounds in their lower area out there. With COVID and the flood in July, everything kind of got sidetracked. I don't like to use the term win-win because it's been used incorrectly in these chambers too many times. But the VFW is our veterans. They need our help. It is a good thing for the city, for our Parks Department, because it will give us an extra probably 8 to 10 full hookups down there. It would give them a steady source of income. It'll give us more income and more people staying. I mean, you look at our park down there aren't a lot of empty spaces. The more full hookups we can get. I talked to Mark about it. We're going to restart this again, see what we can do to help them to get
Do you
that
mean
in
like
there.
us buying that land and turning it into campground?
I don't, selling really isn't an option. What they need is a steady source of income. We had talked about working with them to get the stuff put in. Once that's paid off, and it's a pretty quick return on investment during tourist season, then we work out a percentage, since we will be maintaining it, that they will get in the city with it. That is as far as the talks got before everything just went crazy.
I think they do have restrooms over there.
They have restrooms and shower facilities already there.
And pavilion.
And a pavilion. I mean, it's perfect for it. I mean, it'll be great for us, and it'll be great for the VFW to give them a steady source of income, which they sorely need. So, this isn't really anything that I just need you guys' approval on at this time. I'm just telling you, we're gonna go forward with this to see where we can go with it, so.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed the last flood, that whole fence back behind there had to be redone. Is there something we can do about that?
Well, that's on their property.
Actually, that's on city right away.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we ran the sewer line through there on the phase one, we tore down an old fence to get through that property, and the property owner wanted the new fence put up. We found some chain link that we had used somewhere else. We didn't buy anything, we stuck it there. We need to think of a better way. Maybe something that's either a breakaway or something that can fall over.
It's like the
Yes.
second
Well, now
time,
that you,
or third time that's happened, isn't it?
Yeah.
You brought that up, it's something that I noticed. basically the same situation on the fence in the city park ball field.
Yes.
The fence is on the wrong side of the post. They make breakaway links for them fences,
Okay.
so that when something hits it, the fence will just break away, the posts will stay there. Because I know it's a bear trying to bend those posts back up again and reset them every time. I mean, you'd have to take the fence off and put it on the other side and use those notch ties, so if anything with real force hits it, it'll pop off. But I know they make,
That would be the way to go.
yeah.
And we got it for highway signs too, breakaway highway signs.
But
We've spoken to the city attorney, and he said there is a way we can partner with them if we get that far along.
and once we have all our ducks in a row, we'll come to you guys. But now we just gotta, like I said, we went from I guess the normal world is where we're gonna get into a pretty crazy one, so. But hopefully we can get this going again and get those guys some help and help our park system in the process, so.
Very good. Any other old business? Okay, we'll move on. New business, discuss revision of code section 720.290, the termination of service for non-payment. Has everybody had an opportunity to read this and understand what this is about?
I'd like more explanation.
Carol, would you mind coming up and explaining to them? Since this is your department?
Well, right now it says that if you have a child living with you under the age of 15, or if you're over the age of 60, I cannot, the city cannot shut you off for non-payment. You don't have to pay your bill, pretty much the way it is, so I just,
Did we find out, Carol, if that's based on any state law or federal law that we're required
Dave
to
was
follow?
gonna look into that.
And it's not. The state law has provisions in it, such as the hot weather rule and the cold weather rule that we're probably familiar with. And it has a provision that says that a utility provider must postpone a shut-off for up to 21 days if it would aggravate an existing medical emergency of the customer or any member of the family or other person that lives in the unit. But there isn't anything that's so easy, so to speak, as our current code, which, as Carol just said, is, anybody who's elderly,
I'm moving to
handicapped.
town. I'm moving to town, I want to pay my bill.
Yeah, right. Or who is the custodial parent of a child under the age of 15 years, well,
Well, when you look at the fact that we have so many people that are delinquent and that have skipped town, and we have $118,000 that's owed to the city that we can't get, if we need to do something like this, I think we need to do it.
When this was written, it was written because we're not a bunch of heartless people.
Right.
But the problem with the state, with a line, a sentence like this in an ordinance, there are people who know how to find loopholes, and we're getting hosed over. Can we just remove that line from the ordinance, Dave, without any severe repercussion? And still give us the flexibility?
yeah, we can do it without any repercussions, in my opinion.
Are we taking out A and C or just C?
Carol, you just want C removed?
I like, well, not to be heartless or anything, but I like both.
What does best?
Or how about getting rid of A, B, and C and just following the state guideline that says that we can postpone for up to 20 days if they can show it would aggravate an existing medical emergency. And I would think you could rest pretty assured that if there was some sort of a dire situation beyond the scope of that and they talked to Carol or Mark or Tricia or whoever, we'd probably work with it. But as Dave said, to codify all these exceptions is, we're gonna invite people taking advantage of it probably.
Right.
Well, wouldn't you have to take the header out of D also on that then? Just use the state guideline as the header for that?
Yeah, I think it'd just say that the electric department shall not disconnect residential electric service of any delinquent customer who provides proof of an existing medical emergency of the customer or anyone living in there, provided that the disconnection shall merely be postponed for a period of 21 days, something like that.
I'm good with that.
What happens after 21 days? Just-
Well, it doesn't say we have to wait 21 days, it said we may wait
Well, I
21
know, but
days.
if you give them 21 days and they don't come up with the cash, what do you do?
Shut them off.
Speaking of
Again,
utilities,
if there's, you know, if there's a poor sot, you know, who shows up to City Hall on day 22 and they just really need help and they're not abused, you always have the discretion, I think, to help somebody out, but
Is there an application process where they have to come in, if they see they're in dire straits?
Not right now.
Is there, where they have to come in and make an effort to say, look, I need help in this situation?
Carol does a very good job of contacting anybody she can and work with them however they need help. She turns them on to MOCA and all those other health
Good
agencies.
Samaritans
Yes. And some people just,
It does specify in there too that in D1, where it must be a medical, suffering from medical condition or handicap that prevents the customer from leaving the residence. So if they would meet that qualifications, then we could extend the utilities. It's just not opened up to anybody 60 years of age or older. They do have to meet some qualifications.
Well,
they will follow state guidelines.
the state guidelines,
If we take that out,
Outweigh
we'll follow
that,
state
you know.
guidelines.
I like the way Dave suggested to do it.
what constitutes some kind of written notification that they are struggling somehow?
No one's ever told you to go get a note from your doctor.
you must provide the utility provider reasonable evidence of the necessity, such as a note from a medical professional. So, again, I think it's, would just be a reasonableness, common sense approach. If they get a note from their, you know, their cousin Juan, you know, from New Mexico or whatever, you know what I mean?
I guess.
Carol, will that satisfy you what Dave said?
Yes.
And just for the board's knowledge, not that there's anything really to do about it, what would you say about once a month or once every 2 months, the city gets requests from landlords where the utilities are in the name of the tenant and the tenant's behind on rent, and the landlord tries to use the city as its rent collector and rent possession court and wants us to shut off their utilities, and we never do that.
No.
Clearly, but.
Right.
Are you saying that needs to go in here?
I'm not saying it needs to go in there, I'm just saying that's.
We're not their
No.
rent collection agency.
Right.
And they get many notifications that their bill is due. They get the original bill, they get the friendly reminder, I send out yellow tags. I send out another yellow tag with a final notice on it, I call the landlord, I try to call them before I do anything.
We have a process in place to let people know. The problem is they found a loophole how to get around it. We need to get the loophole out of it. Do we need a motion on this or just tell you to do it?
I'll just do an ordinance to amend the code for next meeting.
Is everybody in agreement on
I agree. Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could we
Get it
turn the
done.
air up a little bit, speaking of utilities?
You gotta take your sleeves off.
Cold in here.
Okay. Any other new business?
I've had some requests, I guess it probably should have come under old business, for the Airbnb deal. Tammy, you got a little update on that one?
Yeah, we have not had good luck contacting anyone with Airbnb. It's like, I tried to find a phone number, I've called, and she was supposed to get back to me today. We did not meet up again. I was told by a lodger today that that number is actually in another country, and so I may have complications with getting a phone number to talk to someone. So we will keep on it and keep trying to find information.
Is there anybody that the state tourism could help you?
I posted it out on our Missouri Association of Convention and Visitors Bureau's Facebook group today, actually, and no one has responded positively yet to me, so we'll keep searching.
Did you check into that one email that Susan had sent and I forwarded?
About Tennessee.
I guess it was Nashville that uses
Yeah,
some
that-
type of
that was,
computer program.
A few months ago, yes, and I will get back on to that, yes.
But I'm afraid if we find something, they're gonna want 2 or 3% of the take. Well, then that just puts us back, because we just had the increase in tourism tax, put us back in kind of the hole again, if you will.
Yeah, we have to figure out all the pros and cons.
Thank you for working on all that.
Anything else under new business?
Do we need to talk about, we did the revocable license to sell souvenirs, if that's being followed
That would probably be a new business.
in the business?
Hey, you can talk about new business.
That it's just to overnight guests, correct? And then if we see something publicly that does not say that, says not a major commercial endeavor, for souvenir sales, that most sales will be to its overnight guests, sales will be wholesale to other establishments.
Yes, well, we have this license to sell souvenirs here. It's been approved by the board and signed by the mayor, and it looks like it was received and signed by the property owner. And my recommendation would be to have our code enforcement officer take a copy of this and a copy of any posts or other evidence that makes us think that this isn't being followed to this person and question them about it and say that we're on it. And if they can't stop it or provide proof that they're following this by next Board of Alderman meeting, we're inclined to revoke it.
Okay, now, you and I have had differences of opinion on occasion as to what a document says, so I'm gonna ask her right out straight. This does say she's not allowed to sell to the general public, only to her guests, is that correct?
Yes.
Says not a commercial endeavor. And it says it can be revoked at any time without notice, hearing, or proof of cause.
The night we approved it, she was here and it was really questioned, to my knowledge, was that it would be to her guest only. The general public couldn't come in and to buy it, which to me would include posting it on Facebook to sell it online.
Well, you could post it on Facebook and sell it online, is not having someone come through your door.
No, but we're open to the public, basically.
Yeah.
And,
I don't think online sales has anything to do with it.
Oh,
It didn't say online.
You opened a business in a residential neighborhood, you're not allowed to have it. It's just open to the general public to come in. You're advertising open to the general public to come in and buy stuff, and that was not how this was supposed to go.
I understand that.
Okay.
Well, I agree, I agree with Dave. I think that she needs to be notified or either in person by the.
Let's get this done,
or
post
else,
haste,
a letter to.
And if it happens again, then we revoke our license.
I think a warning
Yeah.
would be appropriate.
The warning instead of just bam.
a warning or here is the way we see what's happening. Do you have any explanation for that? And then, assuming she doesn't, then give her a warning.
Right. Right.
Well, because the email that we saw, it came, somebody asked, oh, that's a beautiful this, can I get one of those? Yes, we sell them, so.
We sell them in our gift shop.
Yeah, we sell them in our gift shop.
I've seen that.
Was she saying, you need to come and visit with us and be our guest? Or we don't know. So if she knows that that was witnessed or seen, then she might be a little more apt to say, oh, okay.
Hide it?
I need to be a little more careful.
Reword.
Not so much hide it, but I just need to be careful and do it right.
Do it right. Don't
What
hide it, do it
What
right.
we're running into out here on a lot of issues, people are starting to find ways to, loopholes to get around the ordinances, to be creative in thinking that the city will not take an action. And I'm about up to here with some of the things that's happening. We are turning our heads, we're giving into it. I think it's time that we need to stand up and say, it's over with. We have ordinances, we're gonna enforce them. So they know the ordinances, they applied for it, but we're bending our ordinances to fit their needs, not what the city and the citizens want.
Well, this was, I mean, it was obvious, the city did not have to do this.
No,
We could have just said no.
we,
I wasn't here when this was done, but I was aware of it and I agreed to it if it was done the way it was explained to me. If it's not being done the way it's explained to me, I want it stopped.
oh, no, I agree. But that's not the only issues that we have
No,
that's going
we
on
have
right
others,
now.
we have others.
Seems like everybody's wanting that inch and taking the mile. And I
We need to
think
be fair to everyone.
we need to hold to our ways.
Okay, so
I'll talk to the code enforcement officer and have him visit.
you will take care of that for us?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business?
Well, it's probably fall underneath old business. I had a citizen, plus we witnessed it too. We had our business that was grilling up bratwurst and hamburgers back on the front of his business again on First Street this weekend. DeWorst House. We've met with him. He had to remove his smoker, so he's very well aware of the fact, but yet he turns around and denies it. And that is another issue that I'm saying, they're taking an inch and taking a mile. I think it's time that we stand up and stand for our ordinances, or do away with them.
They had a grill outside?
Yes. It
That's
was,
it, I didn't see it.
I got a text that there was a girl outside a Silver Grill.
yep. I got a phone call from two
I honestly don't know where they
citizens.
had room for it with it.
But we also drove by and saw him out there grilling. So to me, that's just slapping that side of the face and slapping this side of the face and saying, nah, I don't care what you do, I'm gonna do it anyhow. Lied to me once, shame on you, lied to me twice, shame on me.
Well, in the same page, then I'll have city administrator talk to the code enforcement officer and go talk to him.
I think that's an excellent idea.
I'm still concerned about safety down there too. Can we have an officer kind of right there? Because there were people walking in the street. I think last week there were people in the gutter walking. That corner is not safe to be walking in the gutter or in the street.
We've tried darn near everything. We've tried to get a street light in there with MoDOT and everything else. So that corner is where people just are gonna have to take extra caution. I mean, this has
We
been
need to
going
put
on for
signage up because
25 years. I don't know and actually, I wish there was something that would snap your fingers and
Well, the
stop.
police officers do not have the extra manpower to have somebody stand in one spot for 8 to 10 hours a day. They have to be moving around and checking everything out.
And I fully understand.
We just don't have the manpower to do that. If you talk to the chief at last meeting, I think
Yeah.
he explicitly said 6 to 8 times that he's understaffed, and we have to go by what that man says.
But
He's the
can we
man
put
in
up
charge.
signage that says, caution or just something? I mean, if somebody gets hit, I don't want Unkin's Machine Shop to get sued because it happened in front of their
We
building.
can put it on our street, but not on the.
Yeah,
Can
you
we do
can't put
that?
anything on state
Can
highway.
we put something on our street like,
We actually striped the west side of Gutenberg to keep them from walking Gutenberg from Unkins down to Tin Mill where the sidewalk takes off again. That's striped for pedestrian traffic to keep them out of the street. I think when you have as many people as we had in here this past weekend, they're just everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think you can control that when you have a volume of people. When Mother Nature's good to us and they come,
well, striping is a solution, so we were trying to do something.
Yeah, we did do that. I saw a lot of people running along the top rail of the Spring Creek Bridge too. So, you can't.
yeah.
It's another complaint I got was the pedestrian traffic walking out in front of you. Almost think you're gonna hit them because they don't stop.
No, they seem to think they're bulletproof when they walk out in front of
They
the vehicle.
open up the car doors. you're going down the street, and I explained to him, I said, been there, done that, with the volume of people we got in town, we'd have to have, every 10 foot have an officer there, and what are you gonna do, write them a ticket, and they're gonna turn around and do the same thing again. It's just kind of one of those unenforceable, common sense lack of going on right now.
Well,
But this time of the year, people are just gonna have to be a little extra cautious about it. I mean, there just really is no visible cure for it.
that's right.
And I'm glad we can talk about this so our citizens know we do care and we are trying to help everyone.
That's cool.
All right, any other new business? So we move on along here. Susan, you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay, let's move on to motions. We have a motion for the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from September.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Invoices for payment.
Move to pay the bill.
I have a motion to pay the bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
So carried. Item C, conditional use permit renewal for Arminius Holding LLC DBA Herman 1837 for their outdoor liquor consumption.
Move to approve.
I want to discuss it.
Okay.
Just for the standpoint of, and yes, I do read this, and yes, I do go by there. And I think moving forward for anybody, they need to make a new application out every year. This one is 4 years old. And the reason I want to question it is down at liquor sales at the bottom of the second page, says occupancy, maximum occupancy at 28. Now, I know they more than doubled their outside seating area, and I think it was last weekend we drove by there. I would have to educatedly guess between 75 to 100 people was in that courtyard. He's probably got 30 some odd tables with 4 chairs per table.
Didn't we talk about our code enforcement officer when before these are done, that he go and check things like their seating?
He has told me that he spends some time out around on the weekends looking at things. He would probably be glad to do that if I asked him.
But that's being abused, and this is 4 years old, and we've got several of them out there. Well, we talked about the worst house, when they were originally permitted for their outdoor seating, it was for 16 people. Now they got seating for up to 44. So this diagram is hard to read, and it says maximum occupancy of 28. That's not right.
I think if they're changed, if anything changes at their place, that they could submit a new drawing so that we know. And like I say, Bob will go and check them. I don't wanna make unnecessary work, but if you're going from 28 to what you think, 75, that's a big jump.
I mean, it was elbow to elbow, and with COVID and everything else going on, that's way too many people to be in one confined area. They were well behaved from what I'd seen. I drove up 4th Street and down 4th Street Alley, but it was jam-packed, like a sardine can.
Well, I don't want to punish them, man, for having a good business weekend. I mean, it's outdoors.
No, I don't think we should punish him.
Did we
I
have,
wanna
was there a
approve this.
complaint? Or was there any
I'm just saying
complaint?
that this permit, asking for a renewal, is totally useless, because what's on here is not right.
Well, ask them for a new seating chart. Any
We-
place that is,
We
that
don't
is
even have
modified.
a seating chart.
Well, I mean, amended. Okay, I guess I used it wrong.
Well, they're supposed to turn in a diagram seating chart. We asked that of the other one for the outdoor seating. This is not outdoor seating, but very similar. And there again, this is another part that I'm fed up that we gave inches over the last several years. And now those inches have turned into,
I don't think he's done anything intentionally wrong here.
No.
He's expanded his area to take to compensate for the additional people that he's having. You're right, it doesn't say that here.
it doesn't say that,
But all this is a renewal for what he's doing. I don't,
which is basically a different business today, because
it's not a different business, it's the same
okay,
business.
I'll
He
make a
just
motion not
has
to approve
more.
it until we get a new diagram.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second for that?
Now second.
I have a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye?
What was the motion?
Is not to grant the renewal until we get a new diagram.
Will this stop him from operating next weekend?
It should, but
Well,
I don't think we should stop him from
Yeah, then I
operating,
retract that second, 'cause I misunderstood the motion.
but then I think we could get a diagram, but I don't think we should stop him from
No.
being open.
I won't vote if it's gonna shut him down. I mean, if you want to request an amended version of this,
I think.
my next meeting, that's fine, but, I'm not going to not vote to approve this.
My vote is out there, I will not approve it. I can say we can continue to let him operate, because that almighty dollar is more important right now than October.
hold on for a minute. You put a motion on the floor.
Yep.
He's rescinded his second. Is there a second for his motion? No second, then the motion dies, correct? Motion's dead. Okay,
But we can make other motions now.
correct. I was gonna say now, you can continue on.
Can I try a motion?
Go for it.
On for size here. I make a motion that we have, I guess, that we hold doing anything with his permit, but continue him to be open, but he needs to submit a diagram of his seating. And then, is that,
Yeah, I think so.
and is
Or a-
2 weeks
or a
enough, or do
motion
we need to
to-
say a month?
You know, the date of the original Board of Alderman approval was October the 10th. We've already exceeded that by 4 days last year. You know, I
We
think
always
you,
consider, the way we consider it in the office is by the month. If it's due, their application, we don't go by the day, because the days change every year, so, because these can go on for a year, so we say, these are the renewals that are due in October, so the way we look at it is it's good through the end of the month.
yeah,
So this one's good for, end of October?
Yes.
Okay,
I don't know.
is that?
I mean, pardon me, to revoke a permit or to not renew a permit, my advice would be to have a quote-unquote public hearing with the court reporter and invite him and have him come and show cause why we should not revoke his permit. Short of going through all that, I think your plan of having him update his information is practical.
We've got one more meeting in October, so he has time to do that.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
good through October, correct? Is that what you just said, Trish?
That's what I just said.
Oh, okay. We'll give him, postpone this particular conditional use permit till the next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to that effect.
Okay.
You want to second that?
I will second that.
John, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So effect. Then, as far as contacting him to redo this, or,
You got it.
It's really seating chart and maximum occupancy, isn't it? Isn't that what the question is?
yes, ma'am.
Can we continue this by saying, or talking, or deciding that if, whenever we have someone that has outdoor seating, that the code enforcement officer goes and checks it to make sure that it's the same as it was as when they applied? For outdoor seating?
We don't have a tremendous amount of outdoor seating,
No.
so when those people come in,
You got Arminius?
do they physically come to the door?
They're
I
supposed to
mean,
be here, and so that's when there's their
Right.
opportunity.
Any others?
We got,
The barrel still got outdoor seating? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry they're not here. I don't know why they're not here. I asked them to be here. And in the past, they always have sent a representative. But this is when this conversation is supposed to happen. They're supposed to be here and explain any changes, answer any questions, and that sort of thing. So I would think that that's how we can make those decisions. And then if you don't want to agree to what the changes that they've made during the course of the year, then that's your opportunity to say no, I would think.
So, will you contact them to redo this and be at our next meeting, or have someone do that for us?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to item D, Municipal Corporation Quit Claim Deed, Dalton Ackerman 321 West 10th Street. This is another one of those where somebody is selling a property and they have found something on the title search that's got a little bit of, this is proof that we don't own any of the property or anything like that.
But this is for 8th Street, it's not, that, his address is 10th, so this is for 8th Street.
Yeah, it's
Yes, I'm
516
sorry.
West
Yeah.
I was
Eighth.
reading his address. You are correct.
But it doesn't really specify on there, this says actually the whole lot. Most of them I've seen says like a 10-foot section that doesn't match up. This actually just specifies lot number 86 on West 8th Street.
And sometimes I think that's the case. Yeah.
What this is the Board of Aldermen in the city confirming that the city has no interest whatsoever in the entire lot 86 of West 8th Street.
And that happened before,
And so,
yeah.
I don't,
I know that house is being looked at
It's already, yeah.
to be, actually go to, once P and Z approves it, to be another guest house.
yeah, I'm sure that's where this came from, is the title company did a title search and found some conveyance or deed or something from 80
Right.
years ago that the city was involved in. They just want to make sure we're not going to come back next month or next year and say, hey, we've got a sewer easement through the middle of that lot or something like that.
Yep.
Should
As
we
long as
know-
you're sure we don't.
Yeah, should we know if the city does have, as Dave explained, a water line or a sewer line going through the middle of the line? You know,
Gabe, did you hear his question?
I wouldn't think so either, but
No.
since Mr. Pleat brought that up, that's a good question.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve that?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, item E is a festival event, Crazy 8 Concessions, that was the food trailer at 513 Market Street for October 15th through 18th, 22 through 25th, 29th, and November 1st.
Move to approve.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. Reports, okay, we have a closed session. That will-
I move we go into closed session for purpose of discussion related to negotiations for a contract pursuant to state statutes.
Okay, we have to have a vote.
Aye.
Didn't get a second yet.
Oh, I'll second.
Oops, sorry.
And I'll aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thanks for turning down the air. I thought I freezing down up here. I was starting to get the shivers.
Don't push it, it's got the big hammer.
That's why he's got the big hammer.
The big hammer. Drop the hammer.
He says hammer time when you watch that.
Start calling it 4.